Harvester is an FMV green screen point and click game, which is a genre I don't really like to play, but I do love to talk about and listen to people talk about it. Quick warning though, this game is something else. It's gross and shocking in parts, and I already know some of you are not going to make it through this video. I have a small audience, so I kind of get to know some of you already, and I already know some of you are squeamish, so if you are that way, get out now. Harvester has a very interesting premise. You awake as a young man in the 1950s, but not only do you have no memory, but you also know you belong in the 1990s and not the 1950s. However, you can't remember anything or anyone, but you know that the world you're living in isn't right. Something is off and you don't belong there. And that's a pretty cool premise. It gives me the kind of vibes of The Truman Show or the simulator level from Fallout 3 or WandaVision. Basically, just a 50s cheesy-ish thing that feels sitcom-y but also horror and has a large unknown factor. Now the difference between those pieces of media and this one is that they actually pull it off, whereas Harvester pulls it off half the time and then the other half the time it ruins what it had going. Let's go ahead and talk about the world a bit. Going downstairs you see your little brother and he's watching a violent cowboy show. In the room next to the stairs is your father. You can't see him because the door is locked and his windows are barred. Going inside the kitchen, you meet your mom, who is baking cookies. You find out your name is Steve, and you go straight into telling her you don't know who you are.
Listen, this may sound strange, but I've lost my memory. Do you believe me?
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
I'm serious.
Sure, and next you'll be telling me you don't remember Hank and your little sister.
And then things get far stranger when your baby sister in the kitchen has weird bugs crawling out of her mouth. And it's just pushed by so casually. It's quite a shock to the system, and it's a huge red flag that, yeah, something for sure is not right here. Continuing to talk to your mom, she begins telling you of a mandatory blood drive you will need to take part in unless you become a member of something called the Lodge.
Donations are mandatory, Steve. If you're still here come Sunday, you'll be expected to give.
Until it hurts, I suppose.
Until it hurts. Even Hank will have to donate. Of course, Lodge members are exempt. Remember that.
Hey, either way, no one's sticking me with the needle.
We don't use needles.
This will become a regular thing. Everyone in town wants to be part of this lodge, and everyone says you need to go for it. Also, apparently you are engaged. That's right, you are to be married, but you don't even remember her. And there is this full, explorable town to roam around. And you find out that the postman is the only place to get lodge applications. But he only makes copies once a month for some reason. I don't know why. It's not like he's busy and couldn't just do it. He just won't. So our main goal is to get that application. One of the unfortunate things about this game is your choices don't mean shit until the last choice of the game. With a premise like this, I would love to be able to make my own choices and do what I would do in this scenario, but the only way to actually beat the game is to do the game exactly as it is planned out, which honestly just means making a lot of weird and bad decisions. Next we go to the barber shop, where the most normal people of the city reside. They aren't normal, but they're like the closest to normal you can get. Some places exist just for a single item, like in the case of the barber shop. Other places you could play the whole game and have never had to visit them. Like in the case of this weird army base with a man with no legs who has a bunch of nukes. Or this wasp lady who sexually talks about bees and is apparently the reason for the wasps in your baby sister's mouth. There's a general store with limited items, a cemetery, a fire department where the joke is everyone is gay because flaming. It isn't even done well or executed well, and it kinda hurts the creepy vibe. Honestly, a lot of the really stupid jokes hurt the creepy vibe. There's this TV station where the cowboy show your brother watches is made, but I'm gonna only try to really stick to the most relevant places. So next we go to a meat plant. your father owns, where a man is 100% butchering cats for meat and he's asking about your dad and such.
Look, I'm not kidding about the amnesia. Why won't anyone believe me?
Well, you always were such a kidder, Steve.
Funny how that's beginning to sound like a stock answer. Like it was coached.
You sure are acting like a kidder, son.
Next we go to the school, and at this school the principal is very creepy toward us and possibly the children. And the teacher is a full-on menace. She doesn't believe in spare the rod, spoil the child, but not for any sensible reason you might think. No, she thinks a rod isn't enough and prefers to use a baseball bat.
If an A-bomb hits, what good is it gonna do to duck and cover?
And that scene right there is what I'm talking about, when it only halfway sticks a landing. Seeing her about to hit the kid was scary. And then the hit was far too silly and dumb. And then afterward, the kid is bleeding, so I guess we're back to scary. And it took what might have been a scary scene and made it a bit dumb. And if for some reason the reason they did that is because they're like against the hitting the kid part of the scene, even though it's obviously fake and they wouldn't need to hit him, you could just like cut away when she lifts the bat. The point would still get across that she's hitting the children with a bat. The point is to be shocking, to be scary, right? Why the silly little head spin in the middle? I don't get it. So we can't enter the lodge until we are a member. The guy at the door is dressed in robes and he speaks with telepathy. And he doesn't just speak with telepathy, he also speaks like a Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Only those who seek enlightenment want my attention.
Now, I don't know if this was planned or if this just happened in post, but I'm not a huge fan of it. He basically says we can't get in without that lodge application, which we knew, I guess. Why doesn't the lodge have their own applications? Doesn't fucking matter, I guess. Next is Edna's diner. Edna is a nice lady who works at the diner and keeps an eye on her daughter, Karen. She also tells us about a gross man named Mr. Johnson before falling into a strange cult-like chant.
Mr. Johnson has a liking for me. I call it a crush, but that's too innocent a word. He's a bitter man with too much time on his hands. The wheat ripens and waits not for the scythe. The farmer who waits too long, it were better that he used the scythe to rip his own stomach out than to stay his scythe when the wheat ripens. The harvest moon wanes and then comes winter. An empty belly, the body sun's belly, gurgling within or bloody on the ground. What does it benefit a man if he gains his soul and loses the world? You hunger. Feed yourself before it's too late. Oh.
Edna?
Steve. What happened? Were we talking about Boyle? Or was it Karen?
You seemed strange there for a minute.
I'm sorry. I'm under a lot of stress. Running this diner all alone. Forgive me.
We got the town sheriff and deputy.
I'm telling you the truth. Why won't anyone believe me?
Well, you've always been a kidder, Steve.
Yeah, so everybody keeps telling me.
Boy, you need to stop all this funning and get serious. You've got a wedding coming up soon. Heck, you should be thinking about your career and about joining the lodge.
The deputy is really weird and really horny and starts begging you to buy him porn. And this is an actual thing you have to do to progress. You have to buy him porn. There's a burned building and people suspect the mailman. And then we meet Mr. Johnson, and let me tell you, Edna is right. This man is a creep and I hate him.
Days, she's got all these highfalutin ideas about independence, and her with a little girl to raise. That child needs a father. And Edna, well, she needs a good hard penis.
Now is a great time to talk about the combat. The game has combat. I found out because I tried to murder Mr. Johnson because I couldn't fucking stand him. It didn't work, and I discovered combat is awful, and it's just about clicking quickly on the right frames and save scumming. After a reload, I decided to leave Mr. Johnson alone, for now, although I'm gonna try to kill him later. I then go to my fiance's home. Here you meet Mr. Potsdam, who can't wait to be part of the family because of my dad's cat meat plant. He even has a comical picture of a slab of meat on the wall. Mrs. Potsdam has grounded my fiance to her room so that nothing happens before the wedding. This is both to kind of be weird and also, I assume, so that they don't have to animate my fiance being in different places. Another weird thing about Mrs. Potsdam is she looks just like my mom, which I make sure to mention. And last off, my fiancée Stephanie. And here's where the game takes a little twist, because Stephanie also has amnesia and also feels like she doesn't belong.
I mean, I don't know anyone. I don't remember anything. How many times do I have to say it?
Just one, Stephanie, because I can't remember a damn thing either.
Really? Oh God, I thought it was just me.
You're not alone. Can you tell me what's going on here?
Those people downstairs have locked me in my room. They say I'm grounded until the wedding. They claim to be my parents. I can't dispute it because I can't remember for sure one way or the other, but it doesn't feel right.
Alright, so let's talk about the gameplay. While it is a point and click, it is also a 90s point and click, and what this really means is that there are plenty of puzzles that are nonsensical. Sometimes, you never know what items you might need, so it's important to click everything. Each day you must complete a task for the cult-like lodge. You have to do this to beat the game. If the blood drive hits and you aren't part of the lodge, you lose. Each day involves us using various items to interact with people or places to progress the story. For example, we find out the postman who has the application, he's the one who most likely burnt down the building. And to get into the evidence room to get the gas can to prove he's the one, we have to buy a porno magazine and give the porno magazine to the weird deputy to look at. And then after that we can get the gas can so we can show it to the postman, who will in turn give us a lodge application for the gas can. Meaning the lazy ass could have done it anyway, just like I fucking said, but he just wasn't doing it. Wouldn't it have made more sense to break into the post office and just make a copy or something? Each day the lodge has a task for us to do, and we have to do it. And each day there are weird things going on. For example, one day we find Mr. Potsdam burying something at the cemetery and being weird about it.
I'm burying our cat. She passed away and I'm burying her. Go away and mind your own business.
Then, where's the cat?
I left her at home. Now leave me alone!
And then the next day we find out Edna's daughter Karen is missing. So we check in the area Mr. Potsdam was, and what do you know, we find her. I confront Mr. Potsdam about this, but not only is he a bitch, but I can't even hit him. And my mom even vouches for the guy.
Okay, Weisenheimer. Even if he is a child molester, a kidnapper, and an attempted murderer, that's no reflection on what kind of father-in-law he'll be. I just can't wait for the wedding. Can you?
The lodge mainly wants you to vandalize stuff for them. First, they want you to scratch Mr. Johnson's car, which I will gladly do. I hate the guy. I even successfully killed him once, but that just automatically sends you to jail, which will get you executed. Then the lodge wants me to steal something from this foreign guy, and that one I did kind of feel bad about. But the worst one easily was having to burn down Edna's diner. It just seemed like a bit much for no fucking reason. And then she kills herself and her daughter because of it.
I've tried so hard to find an excuse to keep on fighting, but Karen and I can't go on alone any longer. This diner he left us was all we had. It was always a struggle to keep it running in such a small town. And now we've lost it.
And that was honestly such a wild scene. And you have to do this in order to progress in the game, and that sucks. I do eventually meet my dad, and he's in this strange BDSM room with blood everywhere and on a full body cast. It's the 90s, so I don't expect good representation of kink. We rarely even have that in present day. But kink requires consent, and our dad is terrified and half dead, and obviously not consenting. Also, I'm not criticizing this, saying that, oh, this needed to be accurate kink. I'm more so saying the game is jumping between horror and bad jokes, and I think this was supposed to be some kind of bad joke. It just, I don't know. It's just over the top kink as a joke, but here's what I think. I don't hate it. I think if they actually played it off more as actual horror, like, oh my god, what did the mom do to him? Then that could be more scary, but unfortunately they're playing it off almost like a joke, and I don't think it works as a joke. They have everything for it to be scary. They got the blood everywhere. They got bars on the window. But it just comes off more of a shock factor to be shocking and less of a relevant plot device. It's unimportant to the story, and it will never come up again. Then there's the Harvest Bake Sale that finally happens. It's basically a lot of clones of your mom saying different things in unison.
Don't be such a wise apple, Steve.
During all this, you constantly go back to Stephanie and you tell her about everything that's going on, and she acts very rationally and is like, yo, maybe don't join the lodge, seems kinda bad. And then we have sex a lot. And I don't know how to feel about this. Yes, I realize I'm asexual, so I'm sure this affects how I feel in some manner, but I mainly feel weird about it for two reasons. Reason one is that the world is so fucking weird and gross and creepy that me personally, any amount of thinking about romance or sensual or sexual things, that's like not on my mind. Survival is, after talking to some people who aren't me, I guess sometimes people do have sex when stressed out, so I guess that makes sense. It just felt weird. It's not like, let's say, Mass Effect where it has build-up and I can understand the connections. No, Harvester is just kind of out of the blue with two strangers who both might die, and it's the same sex scene over and over and over again. But I guess if you think you're gonna die, why not fuck? I don't know. The second reason it's weird to me is because Mr. Potsdam has this gross peephole, and there's no option to plug it up or confront him about it, and I already know he makes her uncomfortable, so I don't want to give her more reasons to feel weird. Editing Michael here, it turns out you can confront him about that, you just gotta type in the words, but I didn't know that at the time of my gameplay. It doesn't matter though, because one day I show up and she is dead. Literally just a spine in a bed. My first suspect is obviously Mr. Potsdam, but the sheriff seems to have other ideas on how it happened.
No, all in all, I'd say this was death by natural causes.
Natural causes?
You can't live without a spinal cord, son. Nothing unnatural about that.
It turns out that wasn't Stephanie's spine, but some other spine, and the spine is an invitation to join the lodge. Sure, okay, I guess. But now the game is going to take a different turn. You are going to be looking for Stephanie and killing everything in your way at the lodge. Starting off in some gross rooms that resemble the insides of a body. And they have various body parts like assholes and eyeballs. From that point on, the name of the game is killing everyone we see and clicking on a bunch of objects. I recommend saving here because you can easily miss an item that could be important, and you can only backtrack so far in the lodge. The puzzles to progress are both good and bad. On the bad side, we got puzzles that require you clicking on very tiny, easy to miss pixels to progress. But on the good side, we got ones like collecting body parts to use to distract the giant worm from eating you, and it will instead eat the body parts. Eventually you reach a museum type area and you're killing statues, then once again it's jumping from room to room killing everything. Each room is its own theme, and I really like it. It adds to a dreamlike feeling while playing this. You already knew the world was weird and not right, but all logic has left now, and you must fight your way through this nightmare. There's even this clown room, in a room where a strangely shaped man is eating burgers before attacking you. But the most disturbing room to me is this one. A room covered in blood with a mother and 3 child boys, and they are eating her. And it actually kind of shows them eating her. They did a good job with it. I'm not going to show that exact part, but yeah. And she just talks about what a drain it is to be a mother and how the kids just take everything you are. And honestly, the most horrifying and shocking scene in the game is this one to me. And then you have to kill the kids. And then in the next room is a bunch of already dead bodies. They're already killed, and brutally so, and we end up finding this veteran who talks about how all they trained him to do was to kill, and now he's back and he doesn't know how to live civilian life, and all he knows how to do is kill. So then we have to kill him too, and to be honest, I keep trying to piece things together, and perhaps there isn't things to piece together. A lot of people you kill here look like the people in Harvest, but I guess they are different. But apparently the Harvest people are here too, because we finally run into Mr. Potsdam, and he says burying Karen was a part of his initiation to get into the lodge, and so was letting them into Stephanie's room. We kill him, which is probably why it wouldn't let me kill him earlier. Then we enter a room with sex workers, and you have a choice to sleep with them or call them a whore. If you sleep with them, not only is that a weird choice at this time, because we're looking for Stephanie, but also I don't hate it because the world feels dreamy, and dreams kind of like bounce around all over the place, and you can easily get distracted from whatever you were doing in a dream. However, you will end up with an STD if you sleep with them, and if you call them a whore, then you have to fight them to the death and kill them. I just can't make sense of things here. If the game is trying to send a message, I don't know what the message is. I don't know what a mom being eaten, a murderous veteran, and sex workers all have in common. And then there's this clown and this Elvis Burger guy. I don't think it has a meaning. I just think it's a weird world. We get a vampire girl, a weird kink room that is easy to get stuck in because you get stuck on floor pixels, and room after room after room until we finally reach Stephanie. And here we get the truth. We are in a simulation, and so is Stephanie. This entire thing is being done to make us a serial killer in the real world. And all the weirdness of this world was just because the simulation isn't perfect, and it's the best they can do so far. So now the lodge guy gives me a choice. I can either marry Stephanie and stay living in Harvest, or I can kill Stephanie and become a serial killer. And since I'm right at the end and it's a short game, I'll do both for ya. Marrying Stephanie is weird. On the bright side, she gets to live. On the bad side, you go back and live in Harvest and start a family with her in Harvest, and I would say that's not a place I'd want to live, let alone raise kids. And also, what do they even get out of keeping you in a simulation when you say no? Because you die shortly later anyway. But if you say you will kill Stephanie, that sucks even worse. She's begging you not to do it, and it's so hard to do it because she's legit begging, and it's good begging. Let me tell you, I didn't want to do it. I don't even have much of a reason to kill her, other than to get out of here. And then it takes a ton of hits to kill her too, making you just sit there and think about your actions while you do it.
No, please, somebody help me! No!
And then you rip out her spine Mortal Kombat style, and killing her frees you from the simulation, but she dies. Then they release you to the true world where you murder people. And then at last you go home and your mom scolds you about violent video games, and you give a super cheesy Goosebumps-like ending.
Playing Harvester.
That thing? I looked at it the other day. The very thought. Breeding serial killers. It's disgusting.
It's cool.
You'll rot your mind playing games like that.
Don't you know people who watch violence become violent themselves?
That's bullshit, Mom.
No, it isn't. Why do you think they started cutting the violence out of those Roadrunner cartoons?
Roadrunner cartoons. Roadrunner cartoons?
And the end actually gave me some insight, I think, because this is the 90s, right? People are freaked out by Doom and Mortal Kombat. You got idiots who don't know what they're talking about, saying video games make people violent. So this is a game not only to be taboo, but it's also a game about a game that does cause violence, and I think that kind of goes, for such shock that it's hoping people would talk about it and lead to sales. It didn't really have a message. It wasn't for or against video games causing violent argument. It was just a, here's something shocking that will make parents lose their minds. And that's what I think Harvester is. The premise is great, the weirdness is great. I just wish it either had a deeper thought process to stick the landing of the story, or that it actually tried to have an opinion of something. Even the story it did have could have worked if they went at it differently. There were so many hateable characters in the game: Mr. Potsdam, the mailman, the principal, the teacher, the lodge guy, Mr. Johnson. You have reasons to want to kill them all. They are sick, twisted fucks, and through them, they could make you hate people and slowly build a serial killer out of you, with them being your first victims. But nope. Instead, Edna dies, Karen dies, and Stephanie dies. The only Harvest person you kill who is actually bad is Mr. Potsdam. Not only do we not know why they want to create serial killers, but I don't even see a reason to become one. My choices matter nothing. When he says to stay in the simulation or kill Stephanie, maybe I'd kill him, but that's not an option. And yeah, I guess at the end, in the lodge, you kill a lot of people, but also, at least half of it is self-defense, and the other half you really don't have much of a choice. I didn't need the lodge to become a killer. I already wanted to kill Mr. Johnson. I already wanted to kill Mr. Potsdam. But the game said no. So how is it even a project that would lead to me becoming a serial killer? If it was me, personally, I think I would sadly kill Stephanie so that I could leave the simulation, unless I could find another way to leave it, and then I would start killing the people who put me in the simulation to begin with. But nope, also not an option. I really think they had gold on their hands here and they just fumbled it. I still think there's gold here, it's just among a trash pile, and that's unfortunate. Anyway, that's my Harvester thoughts.